and welcome to another episode of Triple Tap. Can you guys believe it? We are up to episode number 22. 22. Good evening. Welcome to Kev Brown and Kim in the hot seat tonight, both of you. So welcome for joining me. What kind of a week have you guys had before we get started? Well, go ladies first. Kim, how was your week been?
Thanks, Ainsley, and hi to everybody. It's been a pretty hectic, power-filled week this week. We've had the announcement from the Queensland government on the hydro dam that they want to destroy our beautiful farming and rainforest area. So we're all very passionate in fighting against this. So we've got big campaigns happening, and it's going to be a real education. So watch this space for things that will be unfolding in the northern regions of Queensland.
Nice.
Coming up. Yeah.
Kim, I've been talking with you about that, and I cannot wait to get involved in that. The plans that we have got for this government, get ready. I hope they've got ropes to hold on to, because they're coming up against a well-organised team and the power of the Queensland people. It's going to be a bloodfest, and I don't think it's going to be ours. Anyway, no worries.
Yeah, and you know what? The beauty of this is that this is going to unite people, and that's what we need. So, and it's a wonderful opportunity for that.
Yeah. And
hey, I've got some exciting news.
We hang on, Kev. We get so busy during the week. We often don't get a chance to speak with each other, do we? So this is our time to go, hey guys, what have you been up to? What have you been working on? Because I know we're all busy working on the various TAP Pro initiatives behind the scenes. So Kent, go ahead. Tell us what your exciting news is.
So for those who are watching, and we'll put this up in the chat, you need to look up, and we'll put the spelling up, you need to look up yadinji.org and get your head around that. You need to study that website, yadinji.org. After you've done that, the next things I'm about to tell you will make sense. On the 1st of November, that's when we expect this news to drop. On the 1st of November, the First Nations Githibal Ngurakbal tribe will take administrative rights over all of their land. This is a piece of land that stretches from the Yamba River out to north of Glen Innes, out around Tenterfield, around Warwick. It encompasses a little town called Leeburn. The line of their land then swings just south of Toowoomba and then heads towards the coast. It incorporates the Gold Coast, and I can tell you that tree and all the land inside those boundaries will now be considered under the official jurisdiction and under the administrative authority of the Githibal Nation. The letters have gone to the Pope, to King Charles, and they've gone to foreign embassies. What I'm explaining to you is that the Githibal First Nation tribe will be the ruling Crown government of that area. And the state governments will have the responsibility to report to them. And that is exceedingly, exceedingly powerful. The same thing has already happened with the Yadinji in far north Queensland. The Supreme Court of Queensland lost their case against the Yadinji 10 years ago. The Supreme Court of New South Wales lost miserably their case against the Githibal Nation almost 13 years ago. The Supreme Court of Queensland and the government of Queensland have had to surrender to the Yadinji Nation, to the sovereign crown of the Yadinji Nation. And the New South Wales government and the Queensland government, the Supreme Courts, are also going to have to surrender to the Githibal Nation. I cannot stress how powerful that is going to be. TAP has been heavily involved in assisting that process with our brothers and sisters from the First Nations Githibal tribe. Heavily involved with that. We have been attempting, this is an effort that's been going for 20 years, and that 20 years is just the last 20 years of a 200-year battle. Okay? The simple fact is, the First Nations tribe will once again step into the role of being the sovereigns. That means the king and the queen, okay? They will step into the role of being the sovereigns of that land, and we will be back under Crown sovereign law. which is common law, which is the most powerful and the most just law that has ever existed on this planet. So let's keep it going, folks. That is a massive, massive win.
Yeah, and you'll be rolling that eventually all around across Australia, won't you? Not just at one
right across Australia. That will eventually roll out. Hang on to your seats, guys. It's it's going to be a very peaceful, very loving, and very powerful change. We are in a massive epoch in this country.
Yeah.
The people of this country are utterly sick of the dictators who rule, who think that I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, look at Mark McLeod and what he's trying to do. Look at, you can mention every single premier, every single government leader. It's ridiculous what they're trying to do. Yeah. They are not lawful. And it is about time that we got back under the law. Yeah. And that's what we need. We need the law. We need our proper constitution. And I can tell you our First Nations brothers and sisters are leading the way. So thumbs up, massive cheers. Let's get going, because we've got a really exciting lady to talk to tonight.
We have got a really exciting lady. And I know you guys will agree with me that our health is should be our number one priority in life, right? Because without our health, we've got nothing. And so whenever we have a speaker that comes on and talks about health, obviously YouTube likes to shut those ones down, but hopefully we'll get to have this one up. This lady is incredible. I don't know her personally. I've just met her I've got her bio to read, and I'm going to make no apologies. I've got a long bio to read tonight, but when I was looking through it, what this lady has achieved is quite incredible. And I think it's worthy of letting our viewers know exactly the caliber of the people that we are speaking to on here, so you get a good understanding, and maybe you'll be able to reach out to her and chat to her more. So I'm going to introduce to you Annmaree, because she's been professionally practicing as a holistic healthcare practitioner for approximately 35 years. Annmaree's professional achievements so far have included health clinic positions, working with GPs and her own clinic, as well as hospitals and various nursing positions. She has authored many articles in various newsletters, magazines, produced numerous PowerPoint presentations, as well as adult and children's holistic health workshops. Her yoga influence has extended, producing children's yoga cards and a deep relations CD called The Journey Home. Annmaree's health care journey began as a child when her mother took her to adult yoga classes, and it was her grade 5 teacher that sparked her herbal interest. Throughout the past 4 decades, her training has included modern medical, esoterical, and traditional natural medicine. Annmaree's education furthered with numerous degrees and postgraduate studies, having already completed many certificates and diplomas in the areas of homeopathy, herbal medicine, nutrition, massage, as well as training in Ayurvedic and yoga teaching for both adults and children. However, it wasn't until her mother was dying of breast cancer that she began her studies with the allopathic medical system as a nurse, primarily to gain further experience with patient care. And it is through these fields of healthcare, esoteric, natural, and allopathic, that Annmaree has acquired the knowledge to create her holistic health model, Be Aware Holistic Health. This continuing passion for knowledge to upgrade her qualifications led Annmaree to a university postgraduate in herbal medicine and a master's in health science, majoring in stress physiology and stress management, biology of aging, health education and promotion and research. And in 2019, Annmaree received a Simon Schott grant through her Natural Medicine Association and furthered her studies in herbal therapy for cancer, created by Professor Kerry Bone, who also created her postgraduate health science course at the University of New England in Armidale, New South Wales. And throughout the course, Annmaree created a schematic called A Holistic Molecular Perspective of Cancer Development that was seen by Dr. I hope I pronounced this right, Jucham Fulher, and hopefully Annmaree will correct me on that when she comes on, of Genostics, and led to an invitation to speak at the International Cancer Conference in 2020. In 2021, her studies extended to postgraduate physiology training. However, due to a back injury and being in a natural disaster again, the studies had been temporarily ceased. So naturally, all her training and expertise has helped her overcome such trauma. So maybe she'll expand a little bit about that for us as well. Her passion revolves around the care and sharing of what she's learned over the last 5 decades of her healthcare interest and studies. And this includes the latest work, which is a course on holistic herbal use for the home. And that sounds really, really exciting. So hopefully we will ask Annmaree to share a little bit more about that towards the end of the interview tonight. So if anyone is interested in her workshop on holistic health, she'll share that with us. But her mantra is really quite simple. You are more vast than the universe you bathe in. Seek authenticity, educate within and beyond, know yourself, and above all, love always. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please we welcome Annmaree Miller to the call. Annmaree, if you're there, if you want to pop your video on, how are you? And welcome to the call this evening.
Oh, I'm excited. Thanks for inviting me. So awesome.
Excellent. We are excited.
I just love sharing.
Well, excellent, because
I love learning and I love sharing what I learn.
I would love you to share a little bit more about your mantra, Annmaree, that goes on to say you are more vast than the universe you bathe in. Can you just explain, you were sharing with us before what you meant by that. Can you share with our listeners what you meant by that mantra?
Okay, so once you, the individual, realizes that whatever's going on outside, including the vastness of the universe, is nowhere near as deep and amazingly powerful as what's going on within, then all the troubles and challenges that will come into one's life, they become less of a big deal. Like it's more like that saying, water on a duck's back. You know, you come into troubled times, you know, if I go on a little bit, just tell me too much. Stress is never a problem. It's how we respond, the stress response. So understanding that the more we study within, you know, Epictetus and other great people have said, know thyself. To know thyself, to delve within, is when we gain the powers of what the world is reflecting to us, because that's what the world is. It's a reflection of how we are and who we are and what we can do. Yeah.
So Annmaree, what is holistic health? A lot of people, you know, we talk about health and whatnot. There's different areas of health, but for our listeners, can you just briefly explain to us, what is holistic health? What does it encompass and what does it mean for us?
Great joy to do this. So there are many different models in just health. Like if we just talk about health models in general, we've got, you know, traditional countries around the world that have their own health perspectives. So to me, holistic health will encompass the core aspects of an individual as we are known as, which is, I've always called us human beings. Now I've come across, since I've studied a little bit of common law, that human can be translated as a monster. Well, I don't see it as a monster. My definition of a human is a person who has mental, emotional, and a physical body. And that's the three aspects that I teach and educate children and adults about how they can optimize their well-being by focusing on those three areas, because the other greatness that we all have is spirit. However, spirit in yoga and in my realm is God within, and that's perfect. So in holistic health, in my model, Be Aware model, I focus on teaching about emotional stability, mental clarity, and physical strength or endurance. And when one can optimize that, then you're holistically healthy, because there's no such thing as perfect health. There's always something going on in us. However, taking the best of those three will give one a sense of well-being and holistic health. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the whole holistic health side of things, and the views that you have on how to empower people from within. I think it's critically important in this particular period of time when things are advancing. to almost a crescendo, and giving that power, or not giving people the tools to take that power back within themselves is the most important thing that, or gift that you can give to somebody at the moment. So do you see the whole holistic models coming more into play as time goes on in this ever-changing world?
I do. I think the preciseness of understanding what is holistic and what is fragmented. So there are still models out there that talk about holistic health, but they're not necessarily talking about the wholeness of what we are as human beings or living beings. You know, that when I started learning psychology last year, I didn't realize psychology also was associated with emotional health. However, when I delved into the learning of it, they still were fragmented. It still wasn't, you know, incorporating the three aspects, physical, mental, and emotional, as important. Like, you know, there was still the fractional elements. You know, it's like when people go and get their bloods or their pathology done at the GP, and they'll still have fractional elements there. So if the emotional, the mental, and the physical can come together in understanding with each individual, how one feels, how are you feeling, how are you thinking, how are you processing your thoughts, and what are you doing about it, what are you performing, those simple that simple awareness, which is why I called it Be Aware, will you know, prompt, it'll put seeds in for the individual to maybe pay more attention to this or do something about that. I hope I answered it.
So if I can put this into simple terms for a guy like me who's extremely mathematically left-brained, and I think of life as one big maths problem, and one big law problem, just a big law or mathematical equation. So for me, if you're healthy in your body and you're healthy in your mind and your emotions, I mean, that's got to be a good start. But is that it? If you're healthy and happy in your body, your mind, and your emotions, is that it, or is it other things as well?
Well, that's the foundation, Kent. So how understanding what mind is also very important. So in the realm that I do as mind is simply the container. It's the arena. It's the aspect to pay attention to is, what are you thinking? Is it a thought that is productive for you, or is it destructive? And I'll go straight to fear again here, because fear is, as Kim pointed out, it's sort of falling, but it's still a commonality that's in everybody. We all, and I don't normally generalize, however, we all have fears, and what we do with that thought that created the fear will potentiate either construction, as in, I've got to do something about it and be productive, and, you know, maybe go and do some more exercise, or, you know, be a little bit more diligent in my silence, or people call it meditation practices, whatever it is. It's still, there's still the journey of it. So, you know, like what's happening now, and I call it a scandemic, and what brought attention to me, if I can say a little bit about this in the beginning of it, was having studied stress physiology. I realized that they used the 5 techniques, classic textbook in Sapolsky's 2005 Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, 5 textbooks to increase stress response in the individual. They took away control. They increased control. They took away social support. They took away outbursts of frustration, entertainment, religion, etc. They increased a sense of things are going to get worse, and they took away predictability by putting these for every half an hour, daily reports. And I thought, hello, what's going on here? So this is how they increased people's sense of fear, if we want to talk about the last 2.5, 3 years, which has sort of been going on for a lot longer, as we all know. So this, understanding this, when we think of our thoughts and what we do with them, and then how we feel, you know, you can use, there's tools to use to nip it in the bud straight away. Okay, just quickly with our own care. So if we're sensing, all right, they're taking away our outbursts of frustration. I can't go to the footy anymore. I can't go to the movies anymore. I can't blah, 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 blah. All right, what am I going to do? I'm going to go within. So what do I like doing at home that's similar? All these sort of tools, and they'll help those thoughts that would have, because this is the side, the physiology facts. A thought will take 15 seconds in the brain to kick off this stress response. So, you know, the sayings like it takes count to 10, there's a science reason behind that. Because if you count to 10 and stop that fear thought, that thought that's going to create fear, that'll stop this fear response in the body. And you won't go into that feeling of, oh, you know, when someone's got anxiety or later on depression, you won't do that. So, yeah, so it's not just as simple as, okay, I do this, I do that, and I do that. It's being aware of it moment by moment in a excuse the pun, stressful way. And that's, yeah, it's an ongoing thing, because we know life's a journey, health's a journey.
If I can ask a question.
Yes.
When they tried to take away, and this is just my nature, but I'm hoping that we can learn something from this. And I realise that's cocky, Ainsley, that I should want people to learn something from me. And Kim, I get that. Okay, I get that. But the fact is, when they took away my ability to have fun, when they took away my ability to, or tried to take away my ability to work, what I did, the way I responded, and I think this has to do with a certain level of just refusing to be dominated, a certain level of that. I sat down, I quickly read their rules. I read their legislation, which I've got to say was absolutely pathetically written. There were so many loopholes in it, it wasn't funny. And so when they said I couldn't ride my motorbike, I worked out a way that I could incorporate a brand new career for myself that required me to ride that motorbike that was lawful, that they'd said, we won't stop you if you do that. And then I worked out a way to employ my mates. So we all went riding the motorbike. And when we were stopped by police in country areas, 150 kilometres, they thought, oh, they were rubbing their hands together saying, oh, we're going to write tickets for these boys. But I was able to produce the names and places of people that we lawfully had to visit for a lawful activity, and that all the other guys were employed by me, and there was nothing they could do. And all three of them, the motorbike cop and the two in the highway patrol vehicle, laughed, got in their car and drove away because they knew there was nothing they could do. And I've got to say that made me feel holistically pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that
yes.
is that one way that we help ourselves? I mean, or is that too combative,
absolutely.
or what?
No, absolutely. It's being aware of and empowering yourself and having the comfortability to do it in your feelings. Because, you know, we've all experienced times when, you know, something's happened and you haven't feel comfortable. However, when you are empowering the thoughts and the knowledge into about what's going on the external in anything, even going into a medical center and understanding that they can't make you wear something that's going to suppress your breathing, you know, like knowing that, and you just feel empowered, you know. Or even as simple as when someone goes to accuse you of being something or doing something, and you know in yourself because you're emotionally stable, you're mentally clear, you're constantly doing the house cleaning of your mind, of your thoughts every whatever time period it is, and you're looking after your physicality, your cells and your body, so that your endurance and your strength is there. You stand or sit tall within yourself, and what they say to you, it won't push you down. It won't suppress you, like I was talking earlier about. You won't, you have that real strong sense of feeling in the zone, as some people call it. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you did by empowering yourself, building the world up, your world, Kent, and your fellow humans around you, and that's what this is all about. Humanity is to be, this is my understanding of it. I understand common law has theirs in some definitions. However, my understanding of humanity is to be humane. And if I can really go out there, this is where we are going to differ from this technological supposed advance of how humans are going to become two point whatever. And I've seen a TED talk on the guy that goes way out there, where there's some humans and we've got, Terminator, robots, whatever. That this is the difference with us as human beings. They talk about it. As human beings, we're emotional, as well as mindful and physical beings. And the greatest difference that we're always going to have is that we breathe. Robots don't breathe. Some of them are apparently being made to have a sense of empathy and feeling, and they think, and they obviously act and do like the body. And robots will never breathe. They'll never have to breathe oxygen. So this is where we as humans, we empower this nature that we have, Yeah, as you did, Ken.
Yeah, that's incredible. So over the last 2 years, we know that a lot of people have been damaged throughout this whole process. And it's something that we all feel very, very passionate about. You've got 7 main plants that you have listed. Are they specifically, or can they be utilised to help people who may have suffered injury throughout this last period? Or do you have something else that might be able to help them through this whole process and the things that they're experiencing?
Great question, Kim. Thanks. They're all great questions. Yes, yes, yes. So it's in the symbol of Solomon's seal, it's 7 main families, traditional families. And so even just 2 of them alone, you've got the rose family and the lily family, which I elaborate in just promoting here in the course later on that I could talk about. So yes, so that is, they are both for immunity and cardio. And we know more than ever that these 2 areas have been a huge topic in the last 3 years. Sadly, I'd like to say something quickly. I'd like to dedicate everything I say tonight to a beautiful young lady who was 28, a dear daughter of a friend of mine, Miss M, I'll call her because I'll keep it anonymous, who has just recently passed away at 28 after being diagnosed with multiple PEs, public pulmonary embolisms for those, or blood clots in the lungs, and then died of a cardiac arrest at 28 years old after, numerous incidences that have been pushed. So I'd like to dedicate that to her because cardio and immunity is a huge area that we as individuals can build and rejuvenate through things like food. The Rose family, you look up the traditional Rose family and it means all things like foods that are in the old Rose family, because plants and taxonomy, forgive me if I don't pronounce correctly to those because a lot of my training was correspondence. So things like echinacea, I used to pronounce as echinacea, because if you look at the word, it looks like echinacea. However, I was corrected, and so I moved forward. So there's 7 main old families, and the rose and the lily family, which is your onions and your chilies. Beg your pardon, not your chilies, that's in the rose. Onions and chives and leeks and garlic. They're all fabulous for building the immune system as well as helping with the liver. And then the rose family, they're all great for the cardio, and you look at the color. Rose families, red on the band, which is Solomon's seal, which I wear with great honor. It's the Star of David with a dot in the center, because Solomon was David's son.
Kim's
and he was a great herbalist.
Kim,
But how many
seriously, are you wearing the
No,
same thing?
I am. I've got one
Kim,
on as well.
you know me.
Sorry, Annmaree, we're geeking out here. Sorry, we're talking over you.
No,
Look at
that's
that.
all right. I think, Kim, yours got 8. Has yours got 8 points, Kim?
No,
No,
6.
six with a dot in the middle and a Merkaba.
Well, there you go. So Solomon's seal. So there's a plant called Solomon's seal after Solomon. So those 2 families I'd say first. So you eat the foods from those. In the rose, the almonds, the apples, the apricots, they're all great for cardio, Herbal-wise, you're looking at hawthorn and stuff. When it comes to health, though, it's really important, particularly holistic and molecular part of the body. You want to know and ask people that have studied it for a while, because there's also the misrepresentation that's happening with everything, including herbal medicine. Don't just want to hone in there, though, because what can help us also is the breath. Like before, when I said, if you've got a fearful thought, like those that, have fears about money and losing a job, like I lost 2 jobs in this situation, and not having enough money. Just stopping and if you have to count to 10, count to 10, all those sort of things. Take a breath. I'd love to go to have a minute of all your time and just show you how powerful a breath is when you do it productively.
I've actually done that. I've actually done that minute with you, Annmaree. We did it at Murwillumbah. It was amazing. It changed. Not only did it change the feelings inside of me, it changed the feeling in the whole room. There was just the peace and comfort that came from that 1 minute of breathing exercise. It was absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
I'm curious. What are the other? We've talked about 2 of the main plants. What are the other 5?
So you've got cruciferous. So you've got things like cauliflowers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. They're all fabulous for liver. And, there's many functions in the liver. There's around 9 if you look at a textbook. So it'll help with those. You've got, and I'm going to be saying some of the old terms, the newer terms, like I learned Umbrellaceae, the umbrella family. There's another one, Labiatae, Lance. You've got Papillonaceae. So I actually go into detail. Hang on, I would have to open my book. I think I said all of them. I think I said 7 then. But yeah, so many of those others, though, just to clarify, Kim, sorry, many of those others I just said, there's not, so that's the module, a booklet that everybody gets that does my course. It's 120, more than 120 pages. And I've taken 50 years of learning, traditional and academic, like uni stuff, and I've put it into PowerPoint presentation and booklet. Yeah. So that is actually a draft for I'll publish it as a book. It's just a matter of time. Like my first book, which has taken me decades, but it's okay because I've had more information to add to it, and there's stuff about the last 3 years that'll be in it, which includes the cancer course that I studied and learnt so much about. Oh my God, what an industry that is, monetary wise. You know, and the studies show, I'm going off here, so pull me up if I'm too out there. The studies show that all this stuff that they're putting into people is increasing their lifespan by about 7 months. Hello, it's insane. So all those plants I just said before, the families, they help with preventing the cells from getting to the state where they become cancerous and one gets cancer.
So we should be growing more of our own vegetables, cauliflowers, leeks, onions, garlic, you know, start looking after our health more, right? Now, Annmaree, just if you might be able to clarify something, since you have done so much work in the cancer area, it was just a comment that I'd seen in one of the groups that I'm involved in today, in fact, and it's a bit of I don't know whether it's a myth or something that people quite often talk about, is that most people know that sugar is not good for cancer, right? But then you have the natural fruits that have natural sugars in them. And some people were attempting to, I guess, say that, oh, don't eat too much fruit because it's not good for you because of the sugar, it will increase cancer. Is that very different? Natural fruit sugar is very different from processed sugars, right? So I wouldn't have thought we shouldn't be eating less fruit. We should be quite happy to eat fruit. What's your comments on that?
Oh, thanks for the question. So another factor that becomes a problem when we talk about information and fragmentation of information is areas take the word and they abuse it, whether it's sugar, love, whatever. So in this case with sugar, yeah, glucose does feed cancer. However, so does 4 or 5, which I just wanted to quickly grab it, but it's not accessible. I did a schematic. That's what got me the conference talk. There's about 4 or 5 amino acids or building blocks that produce protein, and they also feed cancer. So, you know, once you start fragmenting chemicals, you lose the protectiveness that might have been in the foods. So, yeah, fruits are fine in general, particularly the berries and the anti-inflammatory ones like pineapple, and there's lots of goodness in fruits. When someone comes to me as in a consultation, whether it's to seek advice for a disease or a sickness that they have, or some health advice, I basically say, and I've been saying this for decades, God hasn't got a tree or whatever you believe is the highest source, didn't produce a tree that's vitamin Bs or glucose or glutathione or whatever it is. You know, it's the foods. And, you know, there's toxic stuff in some mushrooms. However, there's also beautiful enzymes and hormones and protective, what they used to call buffers, that are in the food as well. So that sort of counteracts. You know, there's so much to do with holistic health that's also about balance and the laws of the universe, you know, that different models, there's one law of universe where the balance is part of it, you know, and non-interference and other things as well. So balance of diet is very important. The main aspect I'd emphasize with food to prevent cellular dysfunction getting out of hand, because we've got so many wonderful systems in our body and they all work together and they all help the immune system to override the nasty stuff that we don't want to proliferate or grow, that'll become a dysfunctional tissue, and possibly malignant and cancerous. So everything that helps with healthy cells is going to help prevent cancer. So protein, fat, carb, water, minerals and vitamins, they're the essential components that are required in your daily diet. You know, so I give you one example where I had a person come up for advice, and this person was only around 30 and she looked like she was 55. And I actually said to her, you need to go, because she told me she cut out all fats, everything that was fat, she cut out. And she looked so, God bless her, she looked old, she had more wrinkles, and it was nothing to do with vanity here. It was because her cells were not getting enough fat. So I told her to go and buy, this is an extreme and I don't recommend this, and I should have said this in the beginning, anyone that's got a health problem, go and see your health professional, get advice. I told her to go and buy a tub of butter. That's what she needed. She needed to get fat into it. So we need the balance, fat, protein, carbs, vitamins and minerals, which you'll get in your fresh, your fresh goodness foods quickly. Yeah, so I don't see sugar as a huge problem unless the person's having lollies every day, processed sugars every day. But a little piece of cake once every couple of days, or twice a week's fine.
A lot of people, Annmaree, a lot of people talk about, there's this diet and that diet. Is it really necessary to go on a diet to stay healthy, or is it just a matter of making better choices about what you put in and on your body that's going to, have you see longevity in health?
Absolutely. The food, it should be in. Now, I say this as the 80% rule, because some people who have got a chronic illness or who are sick at that time, like I just helped someone with, severe cold, and I said, no, you really need to just basically have your veggie soup and chicken broth and whatever supplements that I was recommending for them, and rest. So the food is very important, Ainsley. However, so is not just the molecular side of it. It's how are you feeling when you're eating? What are you thinking when you're eating? Are you angry? Forget it. Don't eat when you're angry, because that'll do what I was saying before about the brain and the thoughts in your, so much information. Your cognitive thoughts will kick off the stress response if you're angry. And then guess what? One of the things that the stress response will do is lower your digestion. So you're not going to digest that food very well. And then you're going to have a cramp after it. And God bless a lot of society. I'm not saying all, but so many people go, oh, I'm allergic to it, or something's wrong with it. Well, hello, it could have been how you were eating. What were you thinking? This whole tradition of eating a meal with your loved one or on your own in a calm environment is very, very important. And from what I see, going out there a bit, but I see everything as holistic health. A teacher I speak to, she babysits the kids she's looking after. The parents are putting them in front of a tablet to eat their food. Like, this is not how we want our children to grow up. Our children need to experience being in they need the interaction. They need to develop their feelings in a productive way and interact communicatingly wise. If I just made up a word up, I did. And, thinking productively as they eat, very important. So, yeah, the food is great. And also how we're feeling and what we're thinking will affect our digestion and food process.
So when I cook breakfast for my lovely wife and say we're not eating it at home, I put her in the car and we go for a quick drive, and where we can look over the mountains and the streams and the countryside. I'm getting top marks for that, aren't I?
You just want to make us all jealous, Kent, that we don't all get that. That's not fair.
That is beautiful. Sorry.
Hey, listen, I've been married happily for 31 years, and I intend to be married for a lot longer happily. So, Annmaree, I'm taking your advice. I am listening to you, and I'm thinking, how many times when I was in a police car was I racing around with super high stress, knives, broken glass, people dying on me, trying to smash a meal while I'm doing it because he's hungry, right? Lucky I was young. And you know what? This is what happened to me. Look, this is what happened to me from doing that. Right? It's not pretty, but there you go. So I take time out these days to do those things. Now, I don't get to do that every day, but yeah, look, now that you're saying, I mean, and it's common sense. I mean, you know, look, it's why would you want to stay at home if you can do that, right? When there's time to do it.
Annmaree,
Like
sorry, love. There's many busy business owners out there. And as a business owner myself, been in business for nearly 20 years, we're doing exactly what Kent just said, because you're on the run, you're eating in the car, you're going from place to place. It's only natural. But what advice would you give to people listening who might be watching the replay, who might live a very busy life? However, they'd like to start incorporating a few things into their life to give them better health so they can hopefully live a long and healthy life to see all their grandkids. Is there any particular foods or things that people should be doing and eating regularly in order to get that process happening? Could you got any guidance on that?
Oh, absolutely. And great grandparents. You know, from a yogini, because I'm a yogini. I'm a female and I practice, and I'm proud to be a female. I'm proud to be a woman, because I know that's controversial at this time. However, there are many different. Oh, I went out too far.
No, you're fine. That's good.
I'm being cheeky. So there are many things that one can do when they're busy, and one of them is you put aside a day in a month, or every 2 months, or every 3 months, and if you're the one that prepares meals, and I do this, you prepare a whole lot of meals. Like you get a batch of spaghetti bolognese going in a big pot. You get a couple of curries going in another big pot, and you cook up a whole lot of food. And one of the best investments anyone can do, mother of 4, raised them mainly on my own. I know this, business, teaching, nursing, all that, is get a tall freezer. And that will be one of your best investments for white goods. And you fill that freezer with all that you've cooked in 1 to 2 days out of a month. And then, sorry guys, if you use microwaves, I don't use a microwave. You pull out the frozen meal and you heat it up in a saucepan or whatever it is, and you've got a beautiful, beautiful home-cooked meal. Yep. So that's an easy way of looking after your foundation, because you're so right, Ainsley. Food is the foundation of our physical existence, and it's our physical existence that holds mind, which is merely the arena that holds thoughts and stillness of thoughts, no thoughts. However, if we haven't got our physical right, if the house is not solid, the electricity and the plumbing, which is the emotions and the thoughts through mind, they're not going to function as optimal. So you're right, cellular is very core, and that is physicality first. So that's done simply through food and exercise. So yeah, so the meals, well, look, anything that's wholesome. You go to your traditionals, go to the Italian, the Mediterraneans, you know, there's so much science, so many papers, which aren't always valid papers anyway, but there's so much papers on Mediterranean diets. It's wonderful. You know, your bologneses, if you don't have meat, you can swap it with vegetarian substitutes. And I was vegetarian for 19 years, so I know there is a healthy way of eating vegetarian. And then you've got South American and you've got Asian. So, you know, you can have your stir fries, you can have your kidney beans and your tacos and all that. You can do stuff where you freeze the base. So at night time, all you have to do is pull out after your hard day work, talking to the kids, the grandkids, whoever, your loved ones. You just make up the quick salads, boil the pasta, but whatever it is, you know, whatever it is, there's lots of different meals that you can do prepping wise. And that's something I'd advise busy people. You only have to find 1 or 2 days every 2 or 3 months to do it.
While we're talking,
Annmaree,
sorry, can't go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, Ainsley.
I
you
was just
sure?
going to say, while we're talking about food, obviously we're finding more and more that the foods we're eating and many of the substances in our environment are toxic and got crap in them. Do you have any ideas on how the average person can help reduce the toxins in their body?
So we go back to those families that I said, in particular the Lily family, which is the oldest traditional name. So just think of, because I think the new name's Apiaceae, but think of onions and chives and leeks and garlic, because they will help the liver to break up biotransformations where you've got two phases, phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1's where the liver has to take the molecules from the food and break it up and go, oh, this one's toxic, and this one, oh no, we'll put that back in the cell. And if you get too many of those toxics, like if you're smoking and you're drinking too much alcohol or whatever it is, then that accumulates too much and it can't be removed through phase 2. Now, garlic and onions and all that family I talked about, that'll help that liver process. And even when you talk about curries, the things that are in curries will help the digestion as well. So the main dietary concerns is when the nasties are in the fats, because fats store in fat cells. So this is where we incorporate exercise, because exercise will help move and minimize those fats from growing. Because when we're born, we've got a certain amount of fat cells, and that's how many we have. And what happens if one puts on weight is they expand. So you want them to shrink. You don't want to feed them as much. We want to keep them healthy. So so if you had to buy organic and you couldn't afford all the fancy stuff, it's the fats that are the most important ones to buy above and beyond. And then have lots of herbs and stuff like that in your foods, like I talked about.
I've got two quick points to raise. I'll start with the second point, and that is, look, we can't know everything in our life. When I want to know an answer to a tech question, I call Ainsley. When I want to know an answer to where the Australia project might be headed to do with rallies and what's going on in Mackay with the dam, this stupid dam that Palaszczuk wants to build. Golly, that woman makes me ill. But anyway, I call Kim, because Kim's the expert in that area. Now, you're clearly the expert in this field, and if people want to get training from you, they can. So as soon as I finish this first point, I want you to roll straight into and plug your course, because I'm very interested in doing that course and I want to hear about it. I know many other people will also. So that's the second point. The first point I want to raise is that one of the people in the chat said that we need to detox, and another one of them said that we need to get rid of parasites in our bodies. And I just want to say that my wife Linda went on a detox and a parasite cleanse, and it nearly killed me. Oh, you got that, Kim? Well done.
I did.
Sorry. Did you want me to comment
so I
on
cracked
that?
a joke there. Oh, yes, please go ahead and comment. But then please.
For those out there, oh, yes. So we always have parasites in us, and our liver is part of its function is to detox. So I don't do detoxes per se. I build and nourish and rejuvenate the body. And if there's a vulnerability in the liver, then I work at rejuvenating that, whether it's through changes in the diet, introductions of extra things in the diet, like I've just said before about the onions and the or the garlic or whatever it is. And it will always come down to the individual, because this is so important to acknowledge within yourself. There's not one single person out there that's the same as you. Not one. Everyone's got a different thought pattern in their mind, because mind, remember, in my realm anyway, people can argue with me. However, I'll say at the end of the day, it's a container. The mind is the container. It's the thoughts or stillness of thoughts that are in the mind that makes something of your mental wellness or unwellness. So everyone's got different thought patterns. Everyone's got a different way that they feel and show their feelings and express or not express. And everyone's got we've got similar eyes and leg pattern and torso and that. But having said that, everyone's different in their physicality. Some people can deal with some things more than others physically. So when it comes to pathogens or functions of the body that aren't working, you build up that function. Like, just quickly, with this respiratory disaster that's happened, we build up our respiratory system. We put Vicks or stuff on our chest, so we're inhaling stuff to strengthen our lungs. We put it in our environment. We burn or diffuse eucalyptus.
Annmaree, I don't want to cut you off there, but you've got 2 minutes, 2 minutes to plug your course, and I want to hear about it.
Okay, so I have devised a holistic herbal use for the home course. So you don't come out as a practitioner. However, you get 10 hours of me ranting like I am now about all the wonderful things that I've managed to put into a 240 PowerPoint presentation. We go over, we manufacture, I talk about the history of herbs. I also talk about individual awareness and a bit more on the body, mind, and emotional care that one needs to do. I talk about what's going to be great to plant in the garden and how you can make that into something for medicinal wise later. We do an extensive monographs, which is portraits of herbs and what they're good for on all different levels. And I talk about the individual and herbs and the planet. And then I talk about consciousness and how we can become more aware so that we are hearing more from God rather than the outside rubbish that's being told to us, or the
very wise.
Not saying it's all rubbish, but there's a lot of goodness within us.
Yeah. And Annmaree, when is your next course coming up? Because I know you got one this month.
One, October the 29th and 30th. It's a weekend, a full weekend, 5 hours, and it's in Tweed Heads. And if anyone wants to know, my phone number, I'm contactable on my phone in reasonable hours. So before 7 at night and after 8 in the morning.
We'll put that
do
number
I say
up.
my phone number now? Yeah. So
And is that in person only, or it can?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's in person. It's hands-on. I mean, I've put it. It's in Tweed Heads, so it's near an airport. I'm not saying I expect people to fly. However, it's a cool course. Yeah.
And Annmaree, can they go to your website, www.mediherbalist.com, to find out more about your workshop and get in contact with you there?
Yeah, there's phone number on that, and there's testimonies from the last one. They can call me.
Excellent.
Thanks for being here with us tonight, Annmaree. I've absolutely loved what you've talked about. That it's important that we stay healthy, that we stay strong, that we look after our thoughts, like you said, because we're in a tough battle. It's a big battle. We cannot afford to lose. So we need strong Aussies united together so that we can win this and get our country back.
Yeah,
so
excellent.
Cheers for being here and giving us some tools to do that. Thank you.
Annmaree,
Namaste.
you're very welcome.
Always.
Annmaree, one last question I'm going to ask you. Keep it nice and short because we are running out of time.
Yeah.
What is one last piece of simple advice that you'd like to leave with our listeners today in regards to their health?
Remember, you are more than your thoughts, your feelings, and what you do. So keep getting up in the morning because life is worth it and life is a blessing. And there's many that are out there that love you, and you are love.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Annmaree, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the call this evening. And remember, everyone, Annmaree's mantra is you are more vast than the universe you bathe in. So Annmaree, I want to thank you for joining us. It's been a ton of information. We'll definitely have to have you come back again down the track and find out more about what you're doing. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kemp, for joining on the call this evening. And to everyone out listening, thank you for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure having you here with us. And we'll see you next time on Triple Tap. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thanks,
Night, everyone.
Annmaree.
Bye. Thank you.